Welcome to the study. This is Professor Hemlock here. Today we are going to go over covenant swapping and what that looks and feels like and best methods to make it happen. So swapping covenants is something I have done a lot. I have two mages that I do testing on. As we see here, my main mage, I have switched covenants 4 times. And I'm in the progress of switching back to Venthyr again. Now, of course, I won't switch back until the patch drops when Venthyr receives the buff, but I will be doing testing on Venthyr. Looking forward to doing that. But what is it like swapping covenants, and what's the best way to do it? So, first off, when you do swap covenants, you keep the renown from your previous covenant. That's a very, very important note. So, if you are Night Fae 34 right now, and you swap to Venthyr, you'll start back at 0 with Venthyr. However, you will retain that Night Fae swap. You'll retain 34 on Night Fae. So if you ever wanted to go back to Night Fae, you simply complete the quest chains. Once you complete the quest chains, you'll then be smack dab right back where you left off on the Renown level. So that is great. That's awesome. It makes it really easy to not have to regrind Renown. Now, the downside is you start back at 0 on the new covenant you are starting with. So I'm Necro Lord now, and I'm back at Cap. I'm going to go back to Venthyr, and I will have retained all the previous progress I had from being Venthyr, which was around 22. So now what this looks like when you're starting at 0 and the best methods to do it. So you do need to complete your Covenant campaign. I can't stress that enough. Not only is it a 100% chance to give Renown, but it is something you're going to need to do anyways. Do the Covenant campaign and complete it, okay? So every time you have that available, just go ahead and do the Covenant campaign. Now, in the low levels of Renown, Renown drops very frequently in every form of content. So you can do callings, you can do raid, you can do Mythic Plus dungeons, you can do arenas, you can do RBGs. Pretty much everything gives Renown at the low Renown levels. And it also is near 100% drop chance. So if you're doing a Mythic Keystone at even a level 2, 3, 4, 5, really low Keystone levels that are very simple and very fast, you are going to still get the same Renown if you did a 13. You get 1 Renown. So my probably most preferred method, and the methods that I have done all of mine in, are arenas and Mythic Plus Keystones. With Mythic Plus Keystones, you have the benefit of actually learning to use those abilities in a piece of content. So whether you're swapping to Necrolord to test out the Deathborn ability, or whether you're swapping to Venthyr to run mirrors, you can actually use those abilities in a real situation, practice with them, and then master how to utilize them, at least in a very basic, low-key sense. And the same goes with Raid. Now, you do get it a lot faster when you're doing Mythic Plus or Arena, simply because Raid takes a long time to form up groups, and then you've got to sit and wait for polls, and then there's only a limited number of Raid bosses, and your group may drop and reform, and that can get kind of frustrating. So I do like low keys, and I think they're a little bit faster than Raid, and if you have a consistent Arena partner or a buddy that's willing to help you, doing arenas is going to be just as fast as Mythic Keystones, if not maybe even faster if you can get really good and just win a bunch of games in a row. So now kind of how it functions for getting Renown is the lower you are on Renown and the further you are away from Cap is the quicker you get them. So essentially the first 10, even 20 Renown levels, for every Keystone you do, you have a very, very, very high chance of dropping a Renown. Then once you start getting closer and closer to that cap, it slows down. Once you hit mid-20s, you're going to notice that it's not even every other Keystone that you start getting Renown. It starts going down to maybe 1 in every 3, then 1 in every 4, and by the time you hit 30, it is very slow, and it starts getting to the point where it's every 3 or 4 keys. But at that point, you're at least competitive with your Covenant. You should have enough Soulbinds unlocked and enough of the campaign completed where you have unlocked those Soulbinds that you can slot in enough of your conduits to be able to compete at a reasonable level. And that's why it's so important to keep doing the Covenant quest campaign. So you unlock your Soulbinds, you get easy Renown, and you're up to the curve on those Soulbinds. And then you'll essentially be done with your swap. Now, I do prefer the Mythic Keystone level for being as fast, but if you're someone who's already done the swap and you're coming back to a Covenant, but it's at a really low Renown level, it's your first time swapping back to a Covenant, you do have to complete a lovely quest campaign here. First one is called Prove Your Worth. Prove Your Worth essentially is a little bar here. You can do world quests, you can do bosses in specific dungeons. Say I'm going to Venthyr, it's Sanguine Depths or Halls of Atonement, and you get a % per completion. World quests, I believe, are 8%, and bosses are also 8%. Might be wrong. It's been a minute since I've fully actually done this again, so but I believe it's somewhere around there. Essentially, you can do one world quest in like 2 or 3 dungeons, and you'll have completed this quest. You turn the quest in, and then your Covenant campaign that you're returning to will be like, hey, dude, let me think about it. And then they come back with a think about it, and then you can redo the exact same quest under a different name, and then bada bing, bada boom, you're back to your Covenant that you want to be. So there's kind of a way to gimmick that a little bit, and that is by doing it on the day before reset, because they think about it over a reset period. So there is a little bit of time gating in this. I haven't done it in a minute, so I did a little bit of research, and it does seem like even if you don't do it on a weekly reset, it is simply a 2-day waiting period, but if you do it on a weekly reset day, it's only a 1-day waiting period. So I'm going to complete this portion of the quest today, and then tomorrow I should be able to go back up, pick the next one, and then I can complete it, but not turn it in. This is also an important note. So if you're wanting to be prepared to swap Covenants, but not swap until the buff rolls through, or the Covenant changes roll through, I should say, then you can complete all these quests and just sit on it, and you do nothing. Once they then roll the patch through, you then turn in the quest, and it'll swap you to that Covenant. But if you want to catch up on Renown prior to the swap, and say your guild's not pushing raid progress, or you're not really interested in pushing keys right now, that would be a great time to then just get it done, swap your Covenants, and then rebuild your Renown, and then by the time the patch drops, you'll be ready to push more Keystones or do some more raid prog. And that is kind of the summary on what it is like to switch Covenants, how to switch Covenants, the best way to get Renown and be all caught up. I hope everyone has enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video. Comments down below if you have any questions on my experiences with Covenant swaps. This is something that doesn't have a lot of info out there, so even my info that I've done research on the Blizzard website and through other people that have experienced swapping as much as I have, and there's not a lot of info out there. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be responding to every comment. Everyone have a great day, and we will see you next time in the study.